A deal that was supposed to define the future of AI, worth $100 billion, has just vanished. The tech world is absolutely reeling right now because Stargate, the legendary supercomputer project between NVIDIA, Microsoft, and OpenAI, has completely collapsed. And it's left everyone asking one simple question: what in the world just happened?
So let's just start with the number at the heart of all this, because it is staggering. $100 billion. This was set to be the single largest investment in AI infrastructure ever. And yet, an SEC filing revealed that of all that promised money, not a single dollar ever actually moved.
And you gotta understand, this wasn't some quiet project that just got shelved. According to multiple reports, its collapse sent immediate, powerful shockwaves rippling through the entire industry. It's forcing everyone to rethink some fundamental assumptions about the future of AI.
So how does a deal this huge just disappear? Well, we're going to conduct a kind of forensic investigation. We're going to break down the 3 critical failures that brought this massive project crashing right back down to earth. Okay, let's get into it. The first cause of death, you could say, was physical. The project's incredible, world-changing ambition ran headfirst into the hard, cold limits of our actual real-world infrastructure. It was just too big, too powerful, and it wanted to be built way too fast. You see, the plan required an absolutely mind-bending amount of electricity to run 10 gigawatts of computing capacity. Now, that's a number that's so massive, it's almost meaningless on its own. It's really hard to wrap your head around what that actually means. Okay, so to put that into perspective for you, to power Stargate, you would need the same amount of electricity it takes to run all of New York City on the hottest day of summer. We're not talking about just another data center here. They were trying to build and power a digital metropolis.
And so, as reports from The Guardian and The Wall Street Journal started confirming back in February, the project just slammed into a brick wall of reality. The strain on the power grid was unprecedented, getting the permits was a total nightmare, and the physical limits of our grid made that 2029 deadline, well, completely impossible. But you know, physical limits were only part of the story. Because underneath all that, the project was also built on a foundation of some, let's say, questionable financial engineering. And it was the kind of stuff that was already getting some serious attention from regulators. To really understand the financial pressure cooker they were in, you have to look at what was happening inside OpenAI. Even before Stargate fell apart, the company had reportedly declared a code red. Why? Because its position as the undisputed king of AI was starting to seriously crumble. And this chart, wow, it just lays it all bare. You can see the immense pressure they were under. In just over a year, their market share cratered, falling from almost 70% all the way down to 45%. And all the while, powerful competitors like Google's Gemini and Anthropic's Claude were just eating their lunch.
So the whole collapse put a glaring, unavoidable spotlight on a really controversial practice the SEC was already sniffing around called circular funding. And the concept, well, it's actually pretty simple, but it has huge implications.
Here's the playbook, okay? A chip maker like NVIDIA invests, say, $1 billion into a startup like OpenAI. But here's the catch. OpenAI is then required to spend that exact same money buying NVIDIA's chips. So the investment goes out one door and comes right back in another as revenue. Critics have a name for this. They call it a financial shell game. And this is the part that really started to make investors nervous. It drew these very clear, very scary parallels to the dot-com bubble. You had these massively inflated revenue numbers that were hiding a fundamental problem, a lack of real, genuine paying customers. And this wasn't some abstract fear. It became painfully real for Microsoft. Their stock actually plunged after the company had to disclose that a staggering 45% of its entire cloud services backlog was tied directly to these circular deals with its partner, OpenAI. So on top of the physical problems and the financial weirdness, there was a third fatal issue. A bitter power struggle was brewing behind the scenes. And this wasn't just a simple disagreement. It signaled the end of an era for the undisputed king of AI chips. The first crack in the armor was performance. OpenAI was finding that NVIDIA's latest and greatest chips just weren't cutting it for the intense, real-time needs of new agentic AI. That's AI that can actually take actions for you. So this forced them to start a secret hunt for alternatives from smaller startups. But the real problem here was that NVIDIA had just become too powerful. Think about it. They're acting as the main chip supplier to OpenAI, while at the very same time, they're a major investor in OpenAI's fiercest competitors. They stopped being just a vendor and started acting like a sovereign power in the industry.
And this power struggle really highlights the biggest long-term threat to NVIDIA's dominance. All of its most important customers, we're talking Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they are all now building their own custom chips. Why? To get control over their supply chain, push down costs, and most importantly, to break free from their reliance on a single company.
So the crucial takeaway here is pretty simple. The industry is diversifying and it's doing it fast. The days when NVIDIA was basically the only answer if you wanted high-end AI hardware, yeah, those days are definitively over. But here's the interesting twist. The collapse of Stargate isn't just an ending. In a strange way, it's actually marking the beginning of a powerful and really exciting new chapter in the evolution of AI. So say hello to the Agentic Web. This is the big paradigm shift that was giving NVIDIA's chips so much trouble. We're talking about a future where AI stops just answering your questions and starts actively doing things for you, like booking your flights, managing your schedule, or even doing your grocery shopping. This is a fundamental change in how we're all going to interact with technology. We're moving from a passive world of asking questions and getting answers to a world of active, autonomous AI agents that carry out complex tasks for us across the internet. The fall of Stargate completely shattered the illusion that there could be a single ruler in the kingdom of AI. It proved there is no single throne. And that leaves us with one final provocative question. With the old king's reign ending, who is going to win the multi-front war that is only just beginning?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.